When we go ahead and talk about adding and subtracting polynomials, we're going to start with some kind of applications that you should be aware of. First off, one thing from junior high you've learned is area and perimeter. And when we go to talk about perimeter, right, how do I find the perimeter of any object? I basically add up all the sides. So when I look at this, the perimeter of this would be 8 plus 5 plus 7, which would give you 20. When I look at the next triangle though, right, these polynomials are not, right, constants, right? So what do we do here? Well, I know right away I'm going to go ahead and add up all of the sides like such. But when I go to add polynomials, what am I basically doing? When I go to add polynomials, all I'm basically doing is dropping the parentheses, right, and combining like terms. And remember, when we combine like terms, we basically add or subtract the coefficients of terms with identical variable expressions. Okay, so when I look here, right, I know 2n can be combined with n, can be combined with 2n. I know this constant 1 can be combined with 5, can be combined with 5. So 2n plus n is 3n plus 2n is 5n. Then 1 plus 5 is going to give me plus 11. Okay, now the next example is a rectangle. And anytime you have these identical markings on a rectangle, what you have to know is that tells you these pieces are the same. So this would be 2t plus 1. These two would be the same. So this is 6t plus 5. So if I were to go to find the perimeter of this, all I'm basically doing is adding up all of the sides. So when I go to find the perimeter now, I can drop the parentheses and just combine like terms. So I'm going to combine all the t's together, right? And then I'm going to combine all of the constants together. So right away, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16t, plus 5, 10, 11, 12. And that would be the perimeter. So let's take a look at some examples here, right? So now, when I look at this, I'm going to drop the parentheses and I'm going to combine like terms. 8x squared goes with negative 2x squared, right? Negative 3x goes with 4x, and 6 goes with 4. So 8x squared minus 2x squared is going to give me 6x squared. I like to cross them out and let myself know I used them. Negative 3x plus 4 is going to give me positive x. Cross them out, I've used them. Then 6 plus 4 would give you plus 10. Remember, if you add or subtract and get a positive, we add it. If we get a negative, we subtract it. So the next one, when I go ahead and I drop the parentheses, right? Nothing changes in this first polynomial. But when I have plus negative 6x to the third, that's going to become minus 6x to the third. Then minus 10x plus 1. So now when I go to combine like terms, the x to the thirds go together, the x squareds go together, the x's go together, and then the constants go together. So right away here, 16x to the third minus 6x to the third is 10x to the third. Negative 6x squared, nothing to go with it, so minus 6x squared. 4x minus 10x will give me negative 6x. 3 plus 1 is plus 4. And that is what you would get. Now the next example is pretty interesting. It says the perimeter of this triangle is 36 inches. Find the length of the missing side. So this is the side I'm looking for, x. Now if the perimeter is 36, what we have to know is basically all three of these sides, x plus 8 plus 12, all have to add up to that 36. But what's the best way to figure this out? Well, best way is just to take the perimeter and subtract the sides you know. 36 minus 8 minus 12 would give you 16. And that's what you would get for that side. But the tough part is, right, the next example says the perimeter of the following triangle is 13x plus 11. Find the length of the missing side. Check your answer by using the three sides to find the perimeter. Does it match? Well, if you take the time to do this, right, you would notice that 3x, 6x, and whatever here has to add up to 13x. So 3x and 6x give you 9x. Well, 13x minus 9x would give you 4x. So we know this side would be 4x. Then here you know right away negative 2 plus 6 gives you 4. This has to add up to 11. So 4 plus what would give you 11? 7. So now if I go to find the perimeter of this, right? 3x, 6x, 4x will give me 13x. 6 and 7 add up to 13. Minus 2 is 11. So this side would have a length of 4x plus 7. Okay. Now, is there an easier way to do it? Well, in order to do this the easier way, we would have to be able to subtract these polynomials. Now, we know that if we're given, two expressions in parentheses and asked to evaluate the expression using correct order of operations, we have to simplify the inside, then subtract. So 4 plus 3 is 7, minus 2 is 5, minus 6 plus 12 is 18, minus 3 will give you 15, 5 minus 15 will give you negative 10. Now, what happens if we just drop the parentheses, right, and add these terms together? That would give us 4 plus 3 minus 2 minus 6 plus 12 minus 3. If I do this, this would give you 7. 7 minus 2 would give you 5. 5 minus 6 would give you negative 1. Negative 1 plus 12, right, would give you 11. 11 minus 3 would give you 8. Do these match up? I know this one is correct, but these didn't match up. What do you think we have to do in order to get it to match up? Right? Well, what happens is I can drop the parentheses on the first one. But what I have to do to the second group is I have to distribute that minus sign. When I distribute that minus sign, a negative and a positive give me a negative 6. A negative and a positive give me a minus 12. A negative and a negative give me a positive 3. So now when I go to do this, 7 minus 2 would give you 5. 5 minus 6 would give you negative 1. Minus 12 would give you negative 13. Plus 3 would give you negative 10. Now it matches up. So when we subtract polynomials, my first step is to distribute the minus sign and then combine like terms. Okay? So in this case, the first polynomial does not change. But the second polynomial, I would distribute that minus sign to get minus 3x squared plus 2x plus 8. So now 9x squared minus 3x squared is 6x squared. Negative 10x plus 2x is going to give me minus 8x. 1 plus 8 would give me plus 9. So anytime we go to simplify any expression, you have to understand the first thing we need to do is distribute. And the second step is to combine like terms. So right away here in this first example, I notice this is 4 times a quantity, which means I have to distribute the 4 to get 8x to the third. 4 times x squared is plus 4x squared. 4 times negative 1 is minus 4. The next one, 2 times negative x squared is minus 2x squared. 2 times 4 would give you plus 8. So now I would get 8x to the third. 4x squared minus 2x squared is plus 2x squared. Negative 4 plus 8 is plus 4. The next example, right, I'm going to go ahead, distribute the negative 3. So that would give me negative 6x minus 12. When I distribute this minus sign, a negative and a negative give me positive 12x squared. A negative and a positive would give me a negative 6x. Negative and a negative would give me a positive 7. Now I can combine like terms and put this in standard form. So 12x squared, negative 6x minus 6x gives me minus 12x. Then negative 12 plus 7 is minus 5. And I am done. Okay, do me a favor, go ahead and try the homework and let me know if you have any questions.